hang in there. We have just 2 more people you got to hear from. But before those 2 people come, that's Joelle. Love you, Shay. Thanks for sharing. That's Joelle, Shayna. So before we get into my hubby, because he was the greatest support, right? So before we get into hubby, we just have one short, quick little spoken word presentation, and then hubby and my sister, Dr. Pearl Macmillan, they will end us up for tonight. All right, so now we'll have a spoken word presentation.
During the winter of 2015, the residents of Hampton Bay, Long Island woke up to what they say was the worst smell they had ever experienced. Mysteriously, overnight, 1,000 fish had died in the canal. After thorough analysis, they found that the oxygen levels in the water were too low and all the fish had drowned. Upon hearing the news, many had questions like, how does a fish drown? Don't they have gills? Don't they have a fin and a tail? They said things like, aren't they built to survive in that environment? Perhaps this is the best analogy for my depression. This angry deity, this jealous God, this thirsty shadow that wrings my joy like a dish rag, turns every conversation into a conveyor belt that always begins with the phrase, you look tired today. To be honest, getting out of bed has become a magic trick, and I'm probably the worst magician I know. This sadness is the only clean shirt I have left, and my washing machine has been broken for months. When people ask me how I'm doing, I want to say my daughter's 4 years old and I'm still not sure if I'm a good father. I want to say that my dad is being diagnosed with dementia. There might be a day when I walk in the room and he doesn't recognize me, and I've always wanted us to start all over, but I guess you got to be careful about what you ask for. I guess when you pray for something, you have to be a little more specific. I want to say crickets have been known to eat their own wings, and I too have a tendency to destroy what helps me get off the ground. I really want to say that I'm not in a good place right now, but that's not a polite answer. So instead I pretend it's Halloween, I jack-o'-lantern my face into something acceptable, and I tell others I'm fine until it sounds like the truth. But sometimes there's a help me chain to the ankle of it. I'm doing okay. Sometimes I'm fine is the quickest way to say I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes all the oxygen in the room becomes water. I feel like I'm sinking to the bottom, like I'm running out of air, but I made a promise to myself that I won't be another drowning fish, that I will not die in this canal. I heard that if you just take a deep breath and relax, the human body will naturally float on top of the water. So I breathe and I tell myself that it's going to be okay. I cry, but I tell myself that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, because I know there is a better version of me somewhere in the future. He is staring at this moment right here, and he is saying, Rudy, thank you for not giving up on us. A few days ago, I was reading and I saw a run-on sentence, and I thought, you know, it could have just ended right there. But it found a reason to keep going. I smiled and I said, well, same.
Hi guys, so we're back. I'm here with hubby, and I know that I saw in the chat where someone said powerful, and even as, I mean, the first time I heard it, hon, we felt the same way. Who was it who said it in the chat? Let me see. Who said it in the chat? Bridget. I agree with you. Powerful. And then, yep. Wow, Bridget. And serious reality, Justina. This is it. How many times we feel like we can't breathe? How many times we feel like we can't go on? And especially when you're trying to conceal, when you're not trying to reveal the naked truth, but you're trying to hide it, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Han is here. This is the #1 supporter. This is the #1 supporter. And I'm not even going to say much. Just speak to how, when I was going through what I was going through after we had our Prince Charming, how did that impact you as a husband? And then I know the hour is getting late and people have things to do, but I also want you to share your own personal experience with a mental health crisis.
Sure will. Sure will. And I know they're going to stick around. You know why? Because this is good talk, right? For them to take and to share.
Okay.
Right. So especially as a pastor, but let me just start off by saying, when my wife was going through her depression, postpartum depression, I didn't know what to do. I felt like I couldn't connect with her because my priorities were toward my Masters of Divinity program. I was in the middle of doing a Greek class, and my wife, who was holding everything together at the home front, she fell apart. So I find myself in a position where I got to help comb the hair. I got to help give the baths to the girls. I got to go start cooking because she was totally broken and confined to her bed. Didn't want to go nowhere. She had the blues like never before. And those of you who have suffered from postpartum depression, yes, they affect people differently in different ways, but there are some common denominators in regards to its symptoms and how they may impact one's daily life, right? And I'm an occupational therapist, so we specialize in daily life skills, reteaching people who have functional deficits and emotional deficits, because there's a psychological part to it also. Right. So I was familiar with the psych part because of my rotations and my experience, but I was totally broken.
Isn't that interesting? You say you were familiar, but being familiar and then having to deal with it in the home is a whole different situation.
A whole different thing. It impacted me in a tremendous way because I was torn. I was torn between my classes and a broken wife. And
because at that time you were in your last semester in divinity school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we set our vows together, for better, for worse. And you were first in my life, but we had to put you on the back burner. We agreed to it because I was trying to get to this program that I thought the Lord had took me to. And to be very specific, when it comes to, I wasn't willing to share it with anybody because people think that, pastors and wives are strong people and they're people of faith, and you just pray
the strong ones
and text your way through the Bible verse. You text your way through, right? But that wasn't enough. And so, acute, chronic, my wife's situation became chronic because she was struggling for not just 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I thought it was going to come and go, but it was weeks. It was weeks. And I was like, wow, I just ain't never seen this side of her. I guess it wasn't your personality, but I just couldn't see where this part of you could have actually been a reality in this beautiful person. And she fell apart, and I was trying to be strong.
And so that's how you felt during that time with me. But years earlier, you had your own personal, you had your own personal crisis. So just in a nutshell.
That's very difficult to do in a nutshell.
I know,
but I will try.
But let me say this before we go on any further. Even though hubby said he didn't know what to do and it was difficult for him during that time for him, just knowing that he loved me unconditionally, just accepting me in my brokenness, that was the support and the nurture that I needed from him. So again, like I say, it's so critical to have that support. And like Shana said, not everybody has the support team around them. Not everybody has the soul sister friend that they can reach out to, or the husband who is in the house, who is supportive. They may not understand, or they may be a little, divided in terms of him trying to get his degree and taking care of the children. But he was there He was there. He wasn't going anywhere, and he wanted me to get whatever I needed to get through. Not everybody has that. And sometimes that's why Shana said, when you don't have that support, sometimes you have to find it outside of your circle or outside of, and you have to go to professional help. So anyway, I got a little, I just wanted to re-emphasize that, but share your story.
I'm going to share my story, but I want the audience to know that I would have dropped out of that program like in a heartbeat. Not in the problem.
And he even mentioned it to me. He was like, look, if I have to drop this program, and I'm like, no, we can find a way to push through this. So go on.
Yes. So I'm going to give you my personal encounter with mental health. But before if you just give me a minute or two, because I think it is significant to somebody who may be even going through it right now, right? So the key word is anxiety, right? I went through the most incredible anxiety crisis that went on for like maybe a year and a half. And once in a blue moon, it threatens to come back even now, right? So let me just give a little definition so that people can understand what anxiety is, right? Anxiety is your body's natural response to stress. And also everybody gets anxiety because we all go through stress, right? So at some level, yes, anxiety is your body's natural response to stress. It's a feeling of fear or apprehension about what is to come, right? The unknown, right? What is to come, right? So I want to give you the signs and symptoms because I was going through the signs and symptoms, right? And so here it is, right? Feeling nervous, restless, tense, having a sense of impending danger, panic, or doom. I know about that, right? Having an increased heart rate. I know about that, right? Breathing rapidly, sweating, trembling, feeling weak or tired, trouble concentrating, right? And real quick, there are 6 major types, right? There's the phobias, there's generalized anxiety, panic disorder. Okay, so it's called, right? And there's social anxieties, right?
Wow.
So the seminary wasn't in view, wasn't even on my mind. I was practicing in Bermuda as an occupational therapist, and I specialized in treating neurological patients, right? Specifically stroke patients, right? And after a full year and a half of treating stroke patients, it started impacting me psychologically and emotionally. Okay, when you are catering to the needs of the psyche and the physical of patients, oftentimes things could get a little bleary, so to speak. I went to the doctor one day for a physical, and he said, "You know what, Williams?" He said, "You know what? You got high blood pressure." And automatically, I started thinking about stroke patients. Are you with me? Okay, because I know what the outcome could be of untreated or untreatable high blood pressure, right? So a paranoia came over me like nothing before, because here I am I may be seeing 1 or 2 or 3 new patients every other week. And I'm treating these people, and after a while, I started worrying about my blood pressure and got consumed in it to the point where I was carrying a machine, electrical motorized machine, blood pressure machine, and taking my blood pressure.
A few times a day.
Between patients, I'm running into the storeroom, taking my blood pressure, and then I'm coming out treating patients. And I think the key, when I really fell apart, was when my uncle, my father's brother, had a stroke, and then he comes to me to be treated in the hospital. I was just totally messed up, and I started getting paranoid. I started having panic attacks, waking up in the middle of the night, thinking that I was having a heart attack. I was just falling apart of a paranoia that what can happen to me. I woke up one night, I don't know if you remember, and I said, "Honey, I think I need to go to the hospital," right? And when I was having these panic attacks, there was like a burning fire came over my head, my body, from my head to my toes, like a sizzling hot, I can't even And I had to listen to my mother about taking deep breaths, breathing in,
Deep
breathing out.
breathing. I know some people out there, y'all know what the deep breathing, how it can help, right?
But the pinnacle of the experience is when I went to Baltimore, remember?
Oh, I do.
I went to Baltimore to a
Baltimore
occupational,
or Boston?
no, it was Baltimore. Baltimore to do a course, a specialized course. And I was in the hospital I was in the hotel and doing the course for a full week. Now listen carefully, family. And you know, there's a lot for me to say this, you know, because it's pastor, it's a vulnerability, you know, be sharing, right? But that's okay. Because it's naked, it's naked and it's truth, right? So honey, I'm walking in the hallway on the second floor of this hotel. And it wasn't even a thought. I wasn't thinking about nothing significant, no stroke patients, nothing. And my heart started racing. And this fear came over me that I don't want to die, okay, with no wife around, no family around, nobody around who I knew, right? And so I must have started hyperventilating, didn't even know it. And it felt like an out-of-body experience, and I just flopped out on the floor, okay? And a gentleman, I'm out, I'm out cold, like Mike Tyson just knocked me out, right? I'm out cold, right? And a gentleman must have came across, he must have ran down to the desk and said, there's a gentleman up there. I think he may have been passed out from alcohol. He felt like he must have been drunk and he passed out.
Mercy.
And they came up there and got me. They brought me down and said, and brought me around. Sorry, you're okay? I said, I don't know. They called the ambulance. I went to the hospital. They put me on the electrocardiogram, everything. And said, you know what? Your heart is fine. He started asking me questions. You had a panic attack. I ain't never seen a panic attack like that before in my life. That took me out cold, right? And this is where the support system started coming in. I came home and my mother, because she has a little nerve issues, she told me about the deep breathing. So when you feel it coming on?
Well, I think she was going, and some of you ladies out there could identify, she was going through hormonal changes.
True.
Through, you know, menopause. So some of the ladies who are there already, you could identify with that, how sometimes when you go through hormonal changes, your mental health is also can also be challenged at times. So I just want you to see there's so many different things that can challenge our mental health. We had the motherhood, you know, being a mother and not being a mother, and then we have you know, loss, grieving the loss of loved ones. I know Lisa, she didn't talk about that tonight, but she could talk about when she lost her loved one. And so can I. And all these things can put us in a mental health tailspin. And so with your mom, this was, I think she was going through hormonal changes.
Yes.
And that's why she was so able to talk about, oh, you know, the deep breathing and what else you were saying? She said,
Craig, like Craig, right? And she said, Craig, when you feel it coming on, start breathing in through your mouth and out through your nose slow. And believe me, saints of God, right? I can feel my heart jumping out of my chest, racing. And I started just focusing on slow breathing. And I started thinking about being on a beach somewhere, or in a cool, just in a calm, cool, therapeutic place. I played music, calm music. And I think what really, because I made it a priority, I took, you know, information is so important. And my mother was there to give me the information and the care. My wife was there with the nurture. We had to learn this thing. We had to sort this out together. And I think I came to a point where my health became so significant in caring properly for myself. I decided to run in a marathon, remember? The Bermuda Marathon, right? It's a half a marathon, 12 miles. And I said, yeah, I'm going to get fit and equip myself with optimal health. And I ran a marathon.
Yeah,
and a healthy psyche became my ambition, right? And at the end of the day, it led me on my way to the seminary.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so I thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I thank you for sharing. And why I asked hubby to share is because a lot of times too, there's a belief that only women have mental health struggles. And even for the men that go through mental health challenges, you're talking about that book, The Strong One. They're the strong ones. So they go hold that as close as they go hold that as close to them as they can. So again, the goal here is to get rid of stigma, discrimination, to help somebody, to educate, to liberate, to just let people see it's a part of life. Okay. So now, before we go, I am so honored. I mean, hubby is hubby, right? Hubby is hubby. And Shay and Lise, they amongst how sometimes you only have a handful. Well, they're in the handful. I got a few more soul sisters. Some are on tonight. I know Randy is on. I don't know if Tanya is on, and some other ones are on. But listen to me. My blood sister, you see that smile?
Yeah, she's laughing right now.
Lord, this is a miracle. That's all I can say. What a miracle to have her on. And Joelle is giving you a shout out, sister. Joelle is saying, hey, sister. But listen to me. I am so honored to have my sister on for so many reasons. And I said, sister, I just want you to share what your role was. Because if y'all would have seen the video, and you're going to see the video, I'm going to put it on the YouTube channel. But if you see the video, you'll see where she had to literally come and extract me. But anyway, I'll let her say what her role was, and I'll let her say how it impacted her. And then we're just going to go in, because the ones here in the Bahamas know that she's the chief medical officer of the Bahamas. So I asked her if she could just say a little something on mental health and public health, how those two connect. So that's how we'll end. Well, not quite end, but this will be the ending of the guests and the interviews. And then we have a little bit more. So go on, sister.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Huh?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me better?
I can hear you much better.
Yes. Okay, so thank you for inviting me to have a word. I was listening to hubby a few moments ago, my pastor, my brother, and certainly as I was sitting here waiting to speak, and this is what you call it? The naked truth?
Naked truth.
Unveiling naked truth.
I was sitting here and I'm feeling the burning anxiety, I'm having all of that, okay? This is the naked truth. And this is something that I go through every time I am asked to speak publicly.
Mercy. And we know that you've been asked to do that quite often lately, and you still go.
I was about to say, can you imagine what the last year has been like for me? So
I don't have to imagine. I don't have to imagine.
You don't. I'm so happy you don't. I'm so happy that I had you. I had that soft place to go at all times. And I always say you would either find me at your house or at one other house, and that's cousin sister. And that means we out walking or something to try and, manage the stress. And certainly that is how I got through it. I'm still going through it.
Exactly.
I knew already, many, many years ago that I have an anxious personality. But when you talk about the whole hormonal changing, when you move in perimenopausal, or, all of those things coming together on top of the job stress and the escalation beyond belief.
Train wreck, like what we talked about last night. Train wreck.
Train wreck. But God, but family and support but a close, small knit group that I could actually be myself around. And I see Caroline Sweeting on here.
Yes, Sweden.
Sweeting, a shout out. You know, she works with my office, and she's that place where I could be me, and
Soft
it's okay.
place.
Mhm. So I say that to say, you know, this mental health thing is real. The challenges of mental health and mental illness is kind of deviating from that, you know, place of I would say that strong center where you could deal with the things of life, the daily challenges, those things that you know, generally would go through, and you can actually manage them. But when you see you are getting to a place where, you know, that it's becoming challenging to do regular daily things, you know, something is happening, something is going on, something is different.
Yes.
And fortunate for some, they may recognize that. For others who may have, you know, real mental, you know, chemical imbalances, those kinds of things, they may not even recognize that it's happening.
That is
So
true.
the support around them, you know, to be able to, I would say, recognize the early signals and be able to make the necessary interventions that are required to get the individual either into care, or, you know, sometimes it may not necessarily mean care. It may mean being able to hang out and, you know, provide a space to talk freely. Like I heard a couple of your girlfriends, my girlfriends now too,
Yes.
actually
Sisters.
talk about, you know, the couch. Just come and lay on the couch, talk, cry, get through it, you know? So it's not a mental health challenge, is not necessarily mental illness. And, you know, that whole stigma that go along with it is a terrible thing. And I'm saying this to you and others on the Zoom. And I realized that I'm saying it to myself as well, because I have definitely had to face on most recently the challenge of having to say, you know what, I'm just not feeling right here. I need to, you know, take a minute away. I need to step back. I need to say, you know what, I'm just not coming in the office today. I'll work from home.
Yes.
Just to be able to manage. And so in that instance, you know, you have things, life circumstances that challenge you, and it may, you know, take you to that place, and you may be able to just manage it there. But to go to the point of what you know, really asked me to talk about here, you know, when you were going through the challenge after having Asha, you know, you asked me about it. And I think one of the questions you asked me was, how did I know it was time to come?
Absolutely.
And I had to reflect on that. Wow. And for me, I recall very well, I was hoping to be there for his birth. And I had to go to a meeting in St. Kitts. And I remember you calling, or either you or Craig calling and saying, this was the day before I left, we're supposed to leave to come to you from St. Kitts. Oh, I'm going into labor. And I was so disappointed because I wanted to be there.
Right.
I wanted to be there.
Right.
You know, but, you know, be it as it was, I got there a day or so after. And, you know, that was like a bond. I mean, I think I saw him the earliest of the three.
Yes.
Because I had planned to be there for his birth, but
Yes.
it just didn't work out that way. And I remember being there and, you know, just being with you as best I could, doing what I could to help, as I usually try to do. And, you know, things were going well. I left, came back home. And I know we kept in touch because we just do that.
Yes.
We have lived apart for many years.
Until this
until recently, thank you. Thank God.
Yes.
And suddenly I remember, you know, we would talk for hours sometimes. And I remember a conversation I was dating somebody. And I said to them, you know what, I'll have to work You know, because when they talk about you not working, I'm saying I gotta work because to pay the phone bill, because I gotta talk to my sister.
Exactly.
And she don't live here.
Exactly.
And long distance calls expensive. So that dates the time, you know. We didn't have WhatsApp and those
No.
things back then. So I know we had kept in touch, and I know we were having long conversations and everything. And I cannot give you the exact moment when I knew, but I just knew it was time to go see, make an assessment, and determine, you know, what's happening here. How can I help? Or what is it that I can do to help you to get through it? And that has been my approach, I think, forever. I would, you know, just drop things and say, okay, I gotta go because this is happening, especially with my family.
Exactly.
And so with times like when you were going through your challenge, I remember when I got there, and you know, the long talks, the we always have that, but I think just seeing what was happening and how things were in that environment, in the home environment, I just felt it would be better if you were home and we were able to continue to, you know, move through this together.
Try and figure this out.
Yeah. And certainly having you come home, I think was most beautiful, because I have very good memories about, you know, just us being together with Asha.
Yes.
And I have never had very much as relates to, you know, surroundings and everything, but whatever we have.
Yes.
You know, we just, it was a place of being together. And I believe that helped to contribute to you, you know, getting back on track.
Believe?
And certainly, I believe, you know.
You don't have to believe that. Come on, sis. Come on, sis. Let's change that word from believe.
Well, you know,
that was a necessary step. I mean, there were other steps, but that was a necessity.
Yeah, and I think
hubby needed to be at peace, and he was able to release me into the care of you and daddy.
Yes.
And he was able to focus on finishing what he was called to do.
Needed to do. That's
so
right.
Go on. Sorry.
No, you know, I think certainly as it relates to I guess with, like, you know, you asked me about public health.
Yes.
And, you know, well, ideally you want to be in a place, public health is about promotion, prevention, protecting health. And, you know, mental disease or mental illness is an illness. So you want to ideally that promote health and mental health and well-being. And there are many things you need to understand what the risk factors are, the preventive factors, and definitely you want to shun the risk factors. Maybe, you know, there are things that trigger you moving in toward a depressed state or whatever.
Yes.
You want to move in the directions of those things that help you not to go there. And it's not always easy. And it requires some introspection and, you know, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And, you know, as best you can, try to look for those things and stay in the places that help you to move positively in your mental. And, you know where those soft places are that you cannot go. Hopefully, you know, everybody has that. Everybody may not have it. So we may need to create more spaces like this. Where, you know, where people can come together and talk freely and share and recognize they are not in this thing alone. And certainly as you, you know, as we do that, that alone is therapy. And certainly as it relates to people who you may see having a challenge, you need to, you know, as best you can, support them through it. And if you realize, you know, what enough, then you may need to signal to them or even others in a safe way to be able to provide care to them. Because the stigma associated with actually showing up and asking for care is real. And
it's real. Unfortunately, it's real.
Unfortunately, it's real.
And that's why, sorry, I just want to interject. That's why we, you know, and it's interesting because you see famous people and and a lot of them come out with their challenges. But a lot of people in your circle, a lot of people, they don't come out and talk about it. You know, it's like, oh, well, the famous people can do it. And somebody is saying, agreed, it is a door to others embracing this pertinent conversation. Exactly. Why shouldn't people who you know in your circles, why shouldn't you, even though, you know, say, look, stress is something real. And why shouldn't me and hubby, what is that about? And we go through this pandemic and people are still, you know, the stigma is still around it. So this is what this conversation is about, stamping out the stigma. Go on. I had to say it again.
No, I agree. And I don't have much more to say other than exactly that.
Yes.
The whole stress, the anxiety, the mental, you know, shifts, just the life challenges could take you to a point where you would benefit from actually having the kind of support I had around me. I have a small group, but I know that is concrete support. I know that when I go to those 2 or 3 places, I could be me and it's fine. I could really just decompress. And I would say too, you know, I spoke about my cousin sister.
Yes.
We walk.
Yes. Exercises.
And a big part of that is not necessarily because you're trying to manage the weight. It's that whole space where you share, you walk, you're out in the open. And I mean, it's therapy. Absolutely. So find those kinds of things that, you know, I would say the healthy things, because, you know, gravitating toward, you know, alcohol or drugs or all those things, it's only going to, you know, dampen what you need to deal with. But find safe spaces as best you can. And let us create more spaces. Let us, and I believe that is why when you asked me, like I say, I was sitting here waiting for this thing for you to get to me, listening to everybody else, and ready to take my, what you call it? My little anti-anxiety pill.
Yeah. So let me take something. Yeah.
Like, okay, how am I going to get through this?
But hey, sis, and I put you in the best spot at the last to really let it build up.
And I was sitting here thinking, why did she let me go last?
Sister-in-law, in your role in this country, you may want to mention also one of the greatest things that help you through this pandemic and through all the stresses and emotion is your pastor, your brother-in-law's good cooking.
You know that's right.
My pastor, my brother.
That's the chief of nurturing when the belly is taken care of.
You know that's right. Heart, mind, soul, everything. So let us continue to you know, and I was about to say, and I'm going to wrap up right now. Okay. I truly believe, because of the experiences of this last year, and you know, and my mental having to deal with it and still function. When you asked me, you know, because my usual thing is like, oh, no, not just no,
not another thing to test my anxiety level.
No, but you know, it's real. It happens. I am no better than anyone else. And if my sharing could help anyone realize that, you know, you just, and I always, you know, when people say, oh, you're doing a good job, or I say, just pray for me. And I mean it. I mean it, because you need the extra strength and power. And I truly, my faith. And, you know, when every time I have to get up and speak, somehow it just, that peace that passes understanding just comes. So
absolutely.
It's a learning experience, something that maybe I would not have chosen, but like you always tell me, you were chosen for it. So if the Lord chose you for it, he will get you through it. So I thank you for the opportunity to share. I thank you for allowing me to be there when you needed that kind of support. And as best as I can, I will always be there.
Oh, thank you. And my sister Shayna's still on. And Shay, you know, you have the chief position in crime, but I close behind you. But I'm doing a good job like you tonight too. Wendy Butler. Okay, more conversation like this is definitely needed to raise awareness about mental health, sharing, and I didn't see the rest of it. Absolutely. And so let this be the beginning. Great job, Jeanette. Awesome. That's from Wendy, sis. Awesome. Listen, I am just so thankful. Now, children, I need you to do what I told you to do to get the names for the people who I have to call. We had 3 prize winners last night. And Hun, you can look at the comments that are coming in and tell me some or read some as I'm giving my vote of thanks. Children, I need you to come soon before my vote of thanks is finished so we can call 4 more names. Okay. Oh, look at them. Look at them. They are here. But I'm going to give the vote of thanks first. First and foremost, I thank God. Okay. Now I won't go off and have no church ceremony up in here. But I give God thanks for giving me the vision and the strength to get through this. Hey, it ain't easy, but hey, that's all I'm gonna say, but God, to accomplish this task. Secondly, I wanna thank my #1 supporter and fan. Why are you looking surprised? My #1 supporter and fan, and my children. I asked them, I said, can y'all just show your faces tonight? I mean, they grabbed this vision, they jumped on board, and without this home family team here, it wouldn't have been none of what happened in the last 2 nights. So I'm just so thankful. Angelica, firstborn, Alea, she's my MIB, meat in between the bread. I call her my MIB. I say, look, what would a sandwich be if there was no meat? You know, I was like, we ain't gonna have no middle child syndrome or whatever that is in here. So she knew from day one, she was my MIB. So firstborn, my MIB, and Asher, the one who this whole story is about, he's just the icing on the cake. And I mean, they were the co-producers, or I'm talking about hubby, the children co-producers, directors, tech team. So kudos to you. And hey, they saved me lots of money. So I thank God for that. Thirdly, I want to thank all my family and friends. I mean, the diehard true supporters who encouraged, prayed. If I start calling names and they jump it out in my head, but I ain't gonna call the names, but you know who you are. You supported in whatever way you could. I thank you. I thank you. Those who shared it, and especially those who shared it with their, with their crew. I just want to say thank you. Last but definitely not least, I say a huge thank you to all those who took the time to register. I know that was an extra step. You see flyers going out and you hear me doing all my lives, but you went on and you took the time to register. I say thank you. And for y'all who showed up last night and tonight, thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, y'all gave me the motivation to push through, to keep pushing through, okay? When you showed up and you attended and participated. And so listen, let me say this, even though everybody can't win a prize, but let me call the names first. No, I'm gonna say, even though your name may not get called, so you wouldn't have gotten a prize, and you know you're gonna get your prize in your email before Monday of next week. I probably will have it to you by tomorrow, but I'm just saying, in case I need to sleep longer, give me till Monday of next week. But so for registering, for showing up, I'm gonna call 4 more names and you'll get a prize. A Fenelus, F-E-N-E-L-U-S. You are a prize winner. Adeline Fenelus, you are a prize winner. You will be hearing from me. Stephanie Hutchinson, you are a prize winner. You will be hearing from me. You will get your prize. Juva McPhee, you will be getting, and one more. And the last one, Cindy Stewart. I think that's my neighbor. So listen to me. You all will be getting something from me in the mail. But everybody who's on, sorry, huh?
If you did not pre-register for this event, that means we won't have your email. So you would need to put your email in the chat tonight, right now, and we'll be able to get that information to you.
Absolutely. You can put it in the chat, or you can also reach me at bewillinspires
Yes.
at gmail.com. So if you didn't register, and yeah, if I don't have your email, you either drop it in the chat right now, or Gmail, bewillinspires@gmail.com. So listen, I wanted to say, even if you attended the event and you didn't register, that's what you'll do. But for those of you who are still in here, don't feel like you didn't win a prize, because remember, I've been talking about my book, my little special project, and that's coming out, and you will have a sweet discount, a sweet discount whenever it comes out. Okay. So everybody, I have all the names. And like I say, if you need to reach me at bewillinspires, just go ahead and reach me there. And so I gave you just the first 2 chapters of my story of how I overcame depression. It's a 10-step thing. That's in the book, a 10-step of how I overcame depression. And I want you to, those who didn't see the first, and it's not just for overcoming depression, it's for handling. The book is about handling just life entanglements. So anyway, I am just so thankful, so blessed, hon. Mm-hmm. We are so blessed.
Yes, we are.
We are so thankful. And let's read some of these. Okay, I see it. Children, my assistants, I hope you're getting the emails that's coming in. I truly enjoyed this evening's presentation. Thank you for your time, for your transparency. This is from Bridget, from your transparency and for blessing each of us. May God, thank you, Bridget. Thank you so much, Bridget. An awesome presentation. Kavia, I got it. I got your email. I got Jacqueline's email. Great presentation. God is a healer. Look, don't let us get going now. We'll be here all night. Getting the emails. Thank you so much. Great job, Evan Pearly. Oh, I see the name Pearly. I know who that is. Hey, Jax. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. It's still coming in. Powerful segment tonight. Wonderful. From T. Burrows. Continue to be led by God. Keep us in prayer. And when, just like Sister said, when we say pray, listen, when our names just pop in your head, say a prayer. Mm-hmm. That's what I always say, right, hon? Mm-hmm. Yes. Just say a prayer, because you know the struggle is real. So just say a prayer. But I want to especially thank my guests, Lisa, Shayna. Look, I could be on all night. So children, just start playing the music. If I don't know how we're gonna go out here, but it's been such a joy. I guess they cut me off.
Broken down and tired.
Am I still on, or
living life on the merry-go-round?
Guys, take your time, but it's been a joy. It's been a joy.
I see it in you, so we gonna walk it out. Move mountains. We gonna walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I like the waves. I rise up in The silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other.